you've got to build relationships. Don't just show up trying to take something all the time. And the same goes for songwriters or publishers, or even as an artist, right? If a publishing deal is your goal, how are you going to get that publishing deal? It's not going to be just Googling a publisher, emailing them and saying, hey, can I send you some stuff? Not saying that I ever did that, but I'm just saying, no, for real, I did that. Welcome to the Songwriting Chronicles, a podcast about, well, you guessed it, songwriting. I'm your host, Sundi Joe, and I'm excited to take you on a journey through the world of songwriting. We're going to talk about my personal experiences as a songwriter, interview other songwriters and industry pros, and provide valuable tips, tools, and tricks to help you achieve your songwriting goals. So I am actually recording this from Nashville today. I'm hanging out in Nashville this week, working on some networking, working on some relationship building, and all the things. And so I thought, what better thing to talk about than the importance of networking and building relationships as a songwriter. It's vital. If we're going to make it in this business, we have to build the right relationships, and that takes some work. So I'm excited to dig in and talk about that with you today, but also talk about how that's paid off for me, how I'm doing that process, and just share some hope with you that it can happen if you invest the time into building the right relationships. And if you're watching this on the YouTube, I'm using this fancy little mic thingy that I've got on my shirt. I'm pretty excited about it. I look pretty professional. Anyway, let's dive into today's episode. Before we do that, though, I would love to ask you, if you're enjoying the Songwriting Chronicles, please tell others about it. Please leave a review wherever you listen, and let other people know what we're doing, because sharing is caring, and I appreciate it in advance. All right, so let's dive into today's episode on the importance of building relationships and networking in the songwriting world. So can you make it in the songwriting world without networking, without building relationships? I'm going to go with a no on that. It's just like any business, right? You have to, especially as a small business owner, which is what we are as songwriters, right? You have to network. You have to build relationship with people who want to buy your product, who want to write with you, who want to promote you, things like that, right? My buddy Brent Baxter of songwritingpro.com and the Climb podcast talks about this all the time. He talks about the know, like, and trust factor. So if you don't get anything else out of today, get this: know, like, and trust. It's so important. That's how we build relationships, right? That's how we get in song co-writing doors. That's how we get into publisher meetings, things like that, right? As an artist, that's how we get to earn people's trust, to open for them, and things like that, right? They've got to know you, they've got to like you, and they've got to trust you, right? Because let's use a publisher, for example. You're not going to get in front of a publisher if they don't know you, right? And if they don't like you, they're probably not going to take the time to meet with you. And if they don't trust you, they're probably not going to put you in a room, maybe with an artist to write with, if that's your goal. So it's important when we're building relationships that we're building authentic relationships, right? That we're not just like showing up and trying to use people, because people can smell through the fake real quick. They can smell through the BS real quick. So if you're just showing up just to serve yourself, I'm just going to tell you, don't waste your time, because people can sniff that out. They can see right through it. So I want to share, I don't want to just teach you. I want to share a personal example of how this has played out in my life recently. So last year, I think it was last year, maybe it was a little over a year ago. I don't really know. Last year, I think, I met a Grammy-winning songwriter and a performer. I met her at a show in Branson. That's where I live, Branson, Missouri, and watched her do the show. It was awesome. Got to meet her afterwards. We talked about the importance of NSAI. I told her I was an NSAI coordinator. She was all excited about it. Got our picture taken together. That was the end of it, right? Then I saw her again at another songwriting conference several months later, last fall. I met her at the Write About Jesus conference. And she taught a class there. Did the workshop, went up to meet her, told her how awesome it was. Not just because I felt like she needed to hear that, right? Not just because I was trying to serve myself. I want to say that ahead of time. I know I've already said it, but I'm going to say it again. Relationship building, you have to be genuine. So I walked up, to her, told her how awesome the workshop was, really appreciated it. We talked more about NSAI. I think we got our picture taken with myself and another NSAI coordinator, Kathy Wallace. Shout out to Kathy Wallace from the St. Louis chapter. She's amazing. And we talked, we visited. That was the end of it. Went back home. And but I followed her music. I followed her on Instagram. I shared her stuff. Like I'm genuinely a fan, like, of her music, right? And so over time, I just continued to connect with her in ways. And guess what? That paid off. She reached out to me about wanting to do a concert in Branson, and she asked me if I could, maybe help her with that as far as finding venues and things like that. And I was like, I was all in. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to help you. Well, then she asked me if I would open the show for her. And after I, pooped a brick for a second because I was so excited, I was like, yeah, I mean, I was truly honored. Now, would she have just done that and just picked me out of a crowd if she didn't know me or like me or trust me? Absolutely not, right? Know, like, and trust. I had to build a relationship with her. I had to invest in what she was doing. I had to show her that I was not in this just to gain something for myself, that I genuinely wanted to build relationships. And it paid off. Now I get to open the show for her. How exciting is that? So I'm talking about Nicole Witt, by the way. I should probably preface that. She's a Grammy award-winning singer and songwriter, and she's an incredible person all around. So talented, an amazing songwriter. And here's the cool part that I have to share. I think it was the week before she asked me this, if I would open a show for her, she posted this picture on Instagram, and she was writing with one of my musical heroes, Terry Clark. And I thought, how cool is this? And then the next week she reaches out to me and asks me if I would open a show for her. And I was totally geeking out for a minute. I was totally a fangirl, because I'm like, wait a minute, you were just writing with my musical hero like last week. And now you're asking me to open a show for you. How humbling is that? So incredible. But I wouldn't have gotten that without building relationships, without her knowing me, liking me, and trusting me. And now I feel like I need to do some Stuart Smalley and be like, doggone it, people like me. Anyway, I'm encouraging you to do the same. Ask yourself how you're investing in your relationships. Ask yourself how you are networking. Ask yourself what your approach is. Are you going into it thinking you're going to get something out of it? Or are you genuinely going into it to offer something else for others? How you approach people matters. How you talk to people matters. How you invest in people in this industry matters, because I know I've said it already, but again, they can smell it from a mile away if you're not being authentic. And don't get me wrong, I've made the mistake, especially starting out. We're all guilty of it. Like, I'm not here to shame anybody. I'm just being real, and I'm sharing some of the things with you that I've learned along the way. And now I will do a selfish plug here. So if you're going to be in the Branson area, come on down June 29th. Nicole is actually hosting a songwriting workshop presented by Artist And. So during the day from 3 o'clock to I think 5 o'clock, she's going to be hosting a songwriting workshop. She's going to be teaching the basics of songwriting and her favorite part, which is the last 10%. So that's going to be awesome. So if you're a songwriter and you want to learn more, come on to Branson June 29th for the workshop. And then that evening at 7 o'clock, she is doing a concert, and yours truly gets to open the show. So would love to see you there. And I will share the link in the show notes for you to go and learn more about that and get yourself tickets. So make plans for that. June 29th in Branson. Again, that happened because I invested in relationships and the know, like, and trust factor. Let me give you another example. There's a songwriter who I connected with in an NSAI meeting. I followed him on Instagram. I just reached out and said, hey, thanks so much for everything that you did tonight and on all the things that you taught us. And he responded and he was like, hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate that. Then we stayed connected. And then I asked him who did a lyric video. I really liked his lyric video. Then he said, let me text you the information and I'll connect you. So we did that. Now this is almost 2 years ago, probably. And then I got to meet him in Nashville when I did an open mic night or a songwriters round for the Climb Takeover. And we connected. That was awesome. And then we've stayed connected throughout the year. And he sent me stuff that was cool. Actually, he sent me this really cool sermon series that I loved. I sent him stuff. We've made some connections, etc. Then I went to Tin Pan South last month or a couple months ago. I've lost track of time. Went to Tin Pan South. He was doing a writers round. So I made the very purposeful decision to get tickets to that show, to go watch his round, to go support him. Again, not because I wanted something, not because I expected something, but because I wanted to go support another songwriter who I really like, whose music is amazing, who I admire as a songwriter. I expected nothing in return. Okay. And that's what you have to remember. Do not expect things in return, because it's not always going to happen. So I go, I support him, buy a t-shirt. And then I thought to myself, he needs to come to Branson and play a show. Like, he would be perfect at the Nest, which is, there's a Nest concert venue is what they call it here in Branson. And it is amazing. Founded by my good friends, Tom and Andrea Brett, who used to have a show in Branson for like 25 years. They are invested in songwriters. And so they started this little venue called the Nest. This intimate, beautiful little place for people to come and play original music. And so I thought, oh, this is great. I need to connect them. So I did. That's all I wanted to do, right? Was connect them and get him in front of more people as an amazing songwriter. But guess what happened? He reached out and he said, hey, would you like to play with me? Let's do a song swap. And again, I picked my jaw up off the floor and I was like, what? I was so excited, and I still am. And I'm so honored. How did that happen? Because I built relationships, because I offered people things, because I showed up for them without expecting something in return, because they got to know me, they got to like me, they got to trust me. So you've got to build relationships. Don't just show up trying to take something all the time. And the same goes for songwriters or publishers, or even as an artist, right? If a publishing deal is your goal, how are you going to get that publishing deal? It's not going to be just Googling a publisher, emailing them and saying, hey, can I send you some stuff? Not saying that I ever did that, but I'm just saying, no, for real, I did that. Guess what? That didn't work. They never even answered the email. They never even heard of me. But what happens if I go to an event like Tin Pan South and I meet people there and I meet the presenters, and then I follow up with them afterwards and I say, hey, thanks so much for what you taught on this specific thing. Then I get the opportunity to open a door, maybe invite them to coffee next time I'm in Nashville. I did that with a songwriter, a hit songwriter. I met him through an NSAI event. And then I invited him out for coffee next time I was in Nashville. I bought his coffee. That's important. Don't ask somebody out for coffee and then just expect them to pay for their own coffee. Buy them a cup of coffee and then sit back and listen to everything that they have to say. Get to know them. Ask them questions about them. Learn about them. And if you don't ever get an opportunity to talk about yourself, guess what? That's okay. Because you've opened a door to be able to do that down the road as you build that trust with them, as you build that relationship with them. Okay? I don't know what else I could say about this, just except that it's important. It's important to build relationships. It's important to invest in other people. It's important not to be fake about it. Okay? You've got to show up with the pure intentions of offering them something, not trying to take something. You cannot make it in this business without building relationships. A short episode, but I hope that it has been helpful, and I hope that my songwriting journey is inspiring you in your songwriting journey. And I know I've mentioned NSAI several different times throughout this episode. I love NSAI, the Nashville Songwriters Association International. If you are not a part of it as a songwriter, I'm telling you, you are missing out. Whether a songwriter or an artist, we need valuable resources, support, and opportunities to grow our craft. And that is exactly what NSAI does. It's a global community of songwriters and musicians and industry professionals dedicated to nurturing the art and the business of songwriting. With a legacy spanning over 50 years, NSAI has become the go-to hub for songwriters seeking to enhance their skills and make meaningful connections in the industry. Through its comprehensive membership program, NSAI, they offer so many benefits. You get access to educational workshops, you get song feedback sessions, networking events, isn't that what we just talked about? Both online and in person. You get mentorship, you get that's a great part, the mentorship. You're getting insights and valuable guidance and support from industry veterans. So just taking advantage of that alone is amazing. They're going to help you refine your songwriting techniques and navigate the music business landscape. And NSAI is committed to advocacy for songwriters. They actively work their butts off. They really, really do, to protect intellectual property and champion fair compensation for creators. And we're going to talk about that more in a later episode as we approach this new Spotify issue. By joining NSAI, you become a part of a community that fights for the rights and recognitions of songwriters everywhere. So whether you're a beginner or a seasoned songwriter, NSAI has something to offer. So take advantage of this incredible opportunity, connect with fellow artists, learn from the best in the industry, and take your songwriting to new heights. And if you are in the Branson, Arkansas, Springfield, Missouri area, come and join the Southern Missouri chapter. We would love to have you there. You can learn more about NSAI and become a member today by visiting NashvilleSongwriters.com. That's NashvilleSongwriters.com, and I will share the link in the show notes for you. All right, friend, I think that's all I've got for today. With that said, I will see you in the next episode of the Songwriting Chronicles.
Thanks for listening to my Aunt Esther's podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends. And remember this: keep writing, keep dreaming, and keep pushing forward, because your words matter.